Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wolf, and welcome back to some more Guild Wars 2 expansion coverage. So, we have elite specialization footage for the Troubadour, Galeshot, and Luminary. So, this isn't the ones that I expected to get this early. I didn't really think we were going to get Ranger coverage this quick. So, this is going to be good. I haven't seen this video whatsoever. I saw a couple people make a video on it, and then I saw this and went, okay, I need to react to that myself. So that's what we're going to be pretty much doing here. So I did say beforehand, and I do have a video out about saying that the elite specs felt kind of underwhelming, just from the concepts and what they've shown so far and what have you. So I'm really hoping this is going to change my opinion of that. So with that being said, let's get into this, and then I will review it afterwards and go back through. So let's see, and I'll give you my live thoughts as we go, shall we?
Their wild hunt lead them into the world where they experience tragedy and heroics, adventure and excitement. Now that they've returned to the Grove, the Troubadour is ready to share their journeys in melody and tale. Let the instruments aid in battle, flustering your enemies, giving your allies time.
So I was right with the kit and the multiple instruments. So they get a harp as well. So they get a flute, a harp, a lute. That's gotta be the F1 through 3s, no?
To attack. The lute strums 3 times on its magical strings, sending pulses of energy forth to deal damage to your enemies. As the battle's tempo ebbs and flows, let the harp heal your allies for a moment of soothing melodies. And as you build up notes, be ready to strike a crescendo upon your enemies, while giving your allies a helping hand.
Okay, that's kind of cool. The conductor, like, ultimate part, alright, that's kind of sick. So it's definitely F1 through 3. They replaced the phantasms, but each one does something within, like, an interaction. So it's not a weapon kit. It's a... it's not a shatter, it's not a weapon kit, it's, how do I explain what that kind of is? What do I compare that to? Something that, like, oh, I'm trying to think. That's like Berserk. You press it, you gain new abilities, you do something for a very small amount of time, and then it fades away. But even Berserk's not a good example. It's like a sandshade, I guess, is kind of the best way. Yeah, you place it, it does something, and then it disappears again. You press it, it'll do its little animation, and then you get the effects from it, and yeah, okay. Okay, so you kind of wield an arsenal of musical instruments while still, like, it showed him still wielding the staff and switching back afterwards. So it's like pressing a Firebrand tome, except instead of equipping it, it just does something for 3 seconds. Interesting.
Tales of the Dominion of Winds.
Okay, this is the interesting one.
Graceful warriors from the royal houses have emerged, eager to share their ways with the Tyrian alliance. The Galeshot manipulates magnificent gales to strengthen the power of their bow. Draw your cyclone bow, a testament to the magical abilities of these skilled Tengu. With your cyclone bow summoned, gain feathers over time. Use these feathers to bluster your enemy, firing 3 arrows rapidly at your target. Evade backwards, shooting a hail of wind and arrows, crippling your would-be assailants. Use your supersonic arrow, bursting forth with the power of the wind, dealing heavy damage. And finish off your enemy with a final blow, leaping back with a flourish of arrows. As your enemies fall, let the wind carry their last breath away. Rising from the ashes of the
Okay, that's pretty sick. Okay, I'm back in. I'm back in. Now, there's a couple things I want to say about that. I'll probably wait until the end, but, like, so that's a weapon kit. That's 100% a weapon kit. It shows I'm pulling it literally out of thin air. So that's like the Untamed swap. You're going to press T, and it's going to pull your Cyclone Bow out. Which is going to be interesting because, I mean, well, you could still do longbow. Like, you could still run it because rapid, fuck, what's it called? My mind is moving too fast. Quick draw rapid fire still works even without Untamed. So you would still get the reduction on the rapid fire cooldown. So you could still fire a bunch of arrows And then on the cooldown of rapid fire, you pull out the cyclone bow, and then you do even more stuff with that. So that could be fun. That could definitely be something worth experimenting on. The only thing that kind of makes me sad, though, is it's not gonna be skinnable. Like, it looks sick, sure, but you're not gonna be able to change the skin of it whatsoever because it's a bow kit. Now, cool thing to think about with that is you can run alternate builds with this, so you're actually gonna never use a ranged weapon. Thinking about it now in like high-end content, you're never gonna equip a ranged weapon. It's gonna be great sword, axe, probably, because axe 5 does the most damage out of like any melee attack aside from maul. So yeah, you'll probably use axe, maybe not main hand axe, maybe sword, maybe even dagger. I don't know, dagger's more condition. I'm trying to think what the best like raw melee output main hand weapon is. It might be sword. It's probably just axe, to be honest with you, where you fucking ricocheting all the axes off people. And then the reason you do that is because you just press T and you pull out a ranged weapon. So you can run 2 melee weapon sets with the highest potential like physical damage, and then if you're away from the boss or something, you just pull out your cyclone bow, and then you can immediately do damage that way. So it's like having 3 weapon sets rather than 2. So interesting choices. I really like the supersonic arrow, and that last one looked really cool, like the animation when you do the twirl in the air and whatnot. So I'm assuming it's, I don't know if it's gonna have a timer for how long you can stay in it. Okay, I have to review that. I need to finish the video.
War. The Iron and Flame Legions have combined their technological and magical sensibilities to harness radiant flame to beckon forth an era of change. Call up the Radiant Shroud to gain access to the power
Everyone gets a shroud. The Necromancers got the shroud. Shadow form on Thief, and now Guardian's getting a shroud. Okay, I see how it is. We're just giving everyone separate health bars.
bestowed upon you. Protect yourself with your shields and daze your enemies with a quick bash.
Oh, you actually get a sword shield spec for the first time in fucking ages. I can get behind that.
Bring the hammer down upon them as you grant boons to your allies
no, never mind.
with the hammer's presence. Take a stance against the damages done to your allies as you heal and grant them protection.
Okay, they've outdone themselves in the animation department. I will say they've done exceptionally well. Like the bow animations and then all the spins and fancy shit with this, they're not really reusing many animations. They're using some of the ones that are less used and then making a bunch of new ones, which is really cool. Because I found with a lot of the other Elite specs, they just used the same spins and the same animation sets, and like, yeah, it's easier to do that sort of thing. But when Elite specs seem to be really the big selling point of this expansion, because at least for me and for most people, that seems like the point. And they're really outdoing themselves with the animations here. They did really well with the spear animations too. Like, they had to make up whole new stuff as well, and the only thing they really copied and carried over was literally you're still using the underwater stance while holding the spear, you're just using it on land instead. So they just had to remap the like feet movement. But with these, they've really outdone themselves so far.
Become a symbol of hope by fulfilling the duties of the Luminary.
Okay, that's pretty sick. Okay, so considering what we were shown in the first place with this, it was like, we have a lamp! It definitely has a little more than that. But basically, instead of we have a lamp, we have a hollow forge, is basically what it is. Because it didn't really show, I mean, like, it has different weapons, right? So it has the hammer, and then it has a sword shield. Protect yourself, and then use a quick shield
With your
bash.
shields and daze
Okay, I need to, like, lower this a little bit now.
your enemies with a quick bash. Bring the hammer down upon
It doesn't show a weapon switch whatsoever. So the question is going to be, is the weapon switch, did they make a, did they do the Firebrand Tome thing? Where F1 is sword, F2 is mace, but there's only
with
2
a
weapons
quick
though, right?
bash. Bring
Sword,
the hammer
shield,
down
hammer.
upon them as you grant boons
Oh
to
no,
your
there's 3,
allies
never mind.
with the hammer's
Yeah, because that was a
presence.
staff at the end.
Take a stance
Yeah,
against the
yeah.
damages
Okay.
done to your allies.
So that's what they did then. So F1 is, I'm trying to think, okay. Justice, resolve, courage, right? So, hammer is F1, sword is F3, staff is F2. I'm guessing. That's probably what it is. And then each one's a weapon kit separately, basically like Firebrand Tomes. Exactly like Firebrand Tomes, really.
As you heal and grant them protection, become a symbol of hope by fulfilling the duties of the Luminary.
Yeah, because he's holding that one like a staff. That is pretty sick, though. I like the glow effect. That's pretty dope. So yeah, you'll definitely be able to see when they're in that effect and then absolutely clapping you in PvP. That is the one thing that's like really nice about overly shown effects is like if you're fighting against it in World vs. World or in PvP, you can really see when they go into form. Because most of the time, like all the animations are really, really hidden for some of the elite specs. So that is kind of nice that they're overblowing some of it for sure. Okay, I'm going back to Ranger. I need to see more of those. One more. I don't want to run this one more time, and then I'm going to break this down further.
Alliance. The Galeshot.
Okay, yeah, so pulls it out of thin fucking air. He has a... Okay, see? He has a sword equipped. This is what I mean. So it's going to be sword, axe, second set greatsword, and then you just whip the bow out of thin air. So does his sword disappear off his side when he pulls it out? It does. Okay. Notice how it does like a sword pull animation as well? So, yeah, it's a weapon kit, basically.
Manipulates magnificent.
So yeah, this is what I mean. It's like, it looks dope, sure, but you can't skin it. You can't change the looks of it. You can't do anything with it. So, kinda sad about that, but, I mean, you win some, lose some.
Magnificent gales to strengthen the power of their bow. Draw your cyclone bow.
It's basic auto attack.
A testament to the magical abilities
That's
of
the supersonic one.
With your cyclone bow summoned, gain feathers over time.
This is a good testament, however, to the fact they're finally adding ranged things to Ranger. So there's hope that we might get more ranged stuff eventually. Kind of a shame they went more bow when you could have gone pistol or rifle, but I've beat that fucking horse to death. So, I don't know. I feel like the design they've taken Ranger in as a class over the years has been weird. I mean, I can understand they're trying to do like a unique thing with it, but phrasing it as like the ranged class and then having, what is this now, the 4th elite spec be the one that really invests in range? Odd choice to me, because we got what? Druid, then we got Soul Beast, and then we got Untamed. And Soul Beast had the ability to play Ranger with like Longbow, if you forcibly made it that way like I did with Sikkim Soul Beast. And then the Longbow Ranger with Untamed is also not the way they intend you to play it, but it works. And then Druid back in the day with the Entangling Roots, that like you would hit your point blank shot. You're an OG Ranger main if you remember hitting someone with a point blank shot, and then the Entangling Roots would like grasp them and they wouldn't be able to break out of them, so then you could hit the full rapid fire on them. You're an OG Ranger main if you remember that version of Druid, before they changed it to a full dedicated healer. But yeah, the fact it took 4 elite specs for them to actually give you a ranged thing is a move.
Use these feathers to bluster your enemy, firing 3 arrows rapidly at your target.
Okay, so it looks like we have default auto shot.
Feathers to bluster with your cyclone bow summoned.
So I'm thinking you press T, you pull the bow out, you then gain your feather mechanic, which will be over top of your health bar.
Gain feathers over time. Use these
and it says over time, so it's probably not as a result of hitting something with the auto shot.
To bluster your enemy, firing 3 arrows.
And then you'll spend them. Will it be each one has a feather cost per arrow or per ability? That's going to be where it's interesting. Is it going to be like, oh, you get 5 feathers, each ability costs 1 feather? Because that's just Necromancer's soul shard mechanic from the spear, ripped and put onto a bow, basically.
Rapidly at your target. Evade backward.
Because yeah, if each of those costs a feather, then that could be a little tragic. This is Shortbow 3.
Shooting a hail of wind and arrows, crippling your would-be assailant.
I mean, the animation looks cool as fuck. Like, I love that. But yeah, crippling. Literally crippling. That is short bow 3, dude. The animation looks dope as fuck, sure. But that is literally short bow 3's evade.
Use your supersonic arrow,
That is Untamed's multi-shot animation.
bursting forth with the power of the wind, dealing heavy damage.
That's pretty dope, though. So yeah, literally dealing heavy damage. That's Untamed multi-shot. So, I'm not arguing, though, because I love this animation where they pull the bow sideways and do, like, a massive arrow from it. So, really think that should be used a whole lot more often, so I'm glad it finally is. It's just, like I said, you can't skin the bow, so it win some, lose some.
And finish off your enemy with a
This is
final
dope, though.
blow, leaping back with a flourish of arrows. As your enemies fall,
3, 4,
let the wind
5
carry
arrows?
their last breath away.
Okay, that finale is sick. I'm not gonna lie. They knocked it completely out of the fucking park with this
Leaping
one.
back with a flourish.
Because now imagine your ranger with your transmog pulling this shit out and then just
and
spinning in the air.
With a final blow.
Okay, now the real question, it doesn't show. Does it lock you into place?
And finish off your enemy with a final blow.
Because they aren't
Leaping
moving,
back
right?
with a flourish of arrows. As your
'Cause
enemies fall,
if that's an evade frame in the air, then... Because this is the thing, is like, now when you go up into this, is your hitbox up here, or is your hitbox down here? Because if your hitbox is down here, you just get hilt bashed and cry. Like, that's... Yeah, we'll see. Because if you go up here and you're evade framed, then you guaranteed get the animation off. But then that means you have 2 evades. You have evade on, I'm gonna guess 3, which is the short bow dashback evade. And then if this goes into an evade frame as well, that'll be even more interesting. But then on top of that, if you go up into the air, if it adjusts your camera as well, and you're playing action camera, you then have to retarget as you're in the air for the arrows to follow, which is a little finicky, depending on how it'll do things, because it will probably pull you up into the air. But I don't... Is there any other things that do this? Like the Revenant, like slam, comes down out of the air, and if you're an action camera, your camera goes up a little bit higher, and then slams out of the air. But then you're coming down, you're not going up, right? So it's interpreted a little differently here. Because this is the thing, is it doesn't look like you can move during this. So if you don't get an evade frame during this, you have to use it very, very carefully or sparingly if you're going to use it in PvP or even in PvE, because if you use it in a very bad spot, you're going to get chunked for this because they're not moving with it. You might be able to move with it. I hope you can, but we'll see.
as your enemies fall, let the wind.
And then, yeah, 5 arrows. They get like all this like bird effect and stuff behind it, so that's pretty dope.
Let the wind carry their last breath away. Rising from the ash.
So yeah, honestly, thoughts on it? I mean, it looks pretty sick. It does look pretty sick. Like I said, my big complaint is you're never gonna be able to skin the bow. So thankfully, they made the bow look cool enough that that's not really a particularly big issue. There's definitely going to be the irony of the fact, okay, we made a bow spec and you're never going to play a bow with it, which is very Guild Wars 2. It's a very ArenaNet result of what's gonna happen, because like I said, now you never have a reason to actually run a longbow. Unironically, you never have a reason to run a longbow, because now you just play Galeshot and then you play 2 melee weapons. So you have a longbow by proxy, yes, but you never actually have to play longbow ranger ever again. And then on top of that, if the damage numbers on this thing are way too weak, then it's not going to be worth even going into. And then, if the feathers don't generate fast enough, you can't camp it. Which is, that's the other thing, is it'll depend, it says you generate feathers over time, right? But, if you don't go into the weapon, draw it and say it has, it'll depend how the feathers mechanic works, really, for how effective this is across the board. Because if you generate feathers outside of it, and then you draw it and you have like 5 feathers to spend by default, right? And you're generating as you go, then okay, you can use an ability. Well, so let's say for explanation's sake, you get 5 feathers on draw, and then each arrow will consume a feather. That means that you can fire the triple shot, and then you can fire the single big shot, and then you can do an evade, or you can do one big jump in the air, to do the 5 arrows while you're generating in the background. Auto shot probably doesn't take any feathers, and then you either generate from auto shotting, which will probably be a talent, or you'll generate by proxy just by doing it over time. Then you drop out, and then when you switch back in, you'll get 5 back. Now you'll have to do it with a 10-second cooldown timer, otherwise you just switch out, switch back in, switch out, switch back in to generate your Galeshot effect, or your feathers, like power shifting, cat form druid, basically, in World of Warcraft. Because that's exactly how it would play otherwise. But then, like I said, you need to tweak the numbers well enough that it's worth actually going into the bow. But even then, we have 1 evade, which isn't going to be all that useful in PvE for a rotational option. We have 1 big shot, then we have a 3 arrow rapid fire, and a 5 arrow shot that locks you. So the way this would be used would be, I can't get to the boss right now, I'm going to switch into my cyclone bow, fire the triple shot while moving, because keep in mind, this might lock you in place. So if this locks you in place, you're firing the triple shot while moving, and then if this locks you in place as well for the big fired shot, then you might go for that with like a pierce on a lot of enemies. But yeah, you would switch into the bow, fire the bow, and then fire the 3 shots while running at something. You would spin your camera backwards and about face evade with the evade to get closer to the boss, and then you get back to the boss and immediately drop out of the bow, which at that point you're then back to maul, hilt bash, maul, weapon swap, axe 5, repeat until boss runs away again, pop cyclone bow, repeat line of auto attack, 3 arrow, about face evade to get back to boss. And at that point, all you're really getting out of this is just a little bit of uptime when you can't functionally reach the boss. That's the problem with like ranged weapons in Guild Wars 2, is that since you're playing literally in the bubble, or in the, what the fuck's it called? It's escaping me. Not kill zone, buff ball. That's what it is. Since you're playing in the buff ball, which you need to play in by proxy, because then your combo fields, or you're generating stuff off the combo fields, like Axe 5, for example, is generating fire effects, or all of the fucking healing balls if you're playing with a Guardian, or any of those sorts of things. You want to be stacked to be gaining your might buffs, to be gaining all of this, which then means using a ranged weapon is pointless because the stack is underneath the boss, right? So there's no point in being away from the boss because you're missing out on buffs and damage at that point. And then, like I said, because of the feather generation mechanic, camping the bow is a whole question. And then if you're trying to get back to the boss as the reason to use the thing, then using the side shot here, if this locks you in place, is detrimental to getting back to the boss. This is like the one that would be okay to use because it's 1 big power shot, so you can fire this while running towards the boss still. And even then, that would probably be your rotation, is you would use auto attack, auto attack, auto attack, multi-shot, so 3 arrows, and then you would fire your 1 big one, and then you would about face, evade to get closer to the boss. And then by that point you would have used, assuming the autos don't generate feathers, you would have used 5 feathers with the 3 from the multi-shot, the 1 from the big powerful shot, and then the 1 from the evade backwards, right? So then at that point you can't even use bow 5 because you're out of feathers. But then if this locks you in place anyways, you can't get to the boss because you're doing this whole big-ass spin animation to look cool. So, you know, we'll have to see how it plays out. I really like the concept. It's definitely done... it's won me over more than the original, like, showcase teasers and what have you. Like, I thought it was gonna be, like, Falconer, where you're controlling hawks and stuff. So, having a kit bow is definitely not where I expected this to go. But, it's gonna be interesting. I'm definitely gonna play it, for sure. I want to experiment with it and mess around with it, but I am kind of laughing at the resulting effect of how this is going to play out, because there's a big difference between what you want to design and how players will use it. And that's going to be the unfortunate part of what happens to Galeshot, I think, is that it's designed to be used as a ranged weapon, maybe a ranged kit, obviously. But if you can't camp it, that's not really going to be possible. And then, by nature of how the game plays, you're not going to be able to get full value out of it in the way you would expect, unfortunately. So yeah, I look forward to actually never having to run a longbow ever again. No, I don't, because I'm going to play longbow, untamed anyway. But still, that's my thoughts on it so far. Do let me know how wrong I am in the comment section down below. That's going to be all from me, and thank you guys very much for listening. Take care.